Hey everyone, welcome to another deep dive with us.
Glad to be here.
Today we're looking at something pretty interesting.
Okay.
It's promotional materials from No Limits, No Boundaries Ministries International.
Interesting.
So they're a relatively new religious organization,
Okay.
but they're already making some noise globally.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it's kind of cool because we're getting like a behind the scenes peek at how
Yeah.
a new faith community takes shape and grows.
That is fascinating.
Yeah.
What I find really interesting just from glancing at these materials is that they blend traditional religious beliefs with modern outreach strategies.
Right?
It's almost like they're trying to build a bridge between the past and the present.
Yeah, that's a great point. So, No Limits, No Boundaries was started by Prophet Dundry Edwards
Okay.
in Jamaica.
Hmm.
And what really caught my eye was that they described themselves as an apostolic and prophetic ministry.
Uh-huh.
Can you give us a little context on those terms?
Sure.
What do those words actually signify within a religious context?
So apostolic generally refers to ministries that see themselves as continuing the mission of the original apostles of Jesus.
Okay.
Um, spreading the gospel,
Right.
establishing churches, that
16th
sort of thing.
Okay.
And then prophetic refers to ministries that emphasize receiving and sharing direct messages or revelations from God.
Oh,
So these types of ministries often focus on personal spiritual experiences
yeah.
and may believe in spiritual gifts like prophecy,
Mm-hmm.
healing,
Okay.
speaking in tongues.
So No Limits, No Boundaries combines both of those elements.
Exactly.
Which is definitely intriguing.
Yeah.
But it sounds like their journey hasn't been easy.
Right.
They face some serious hurdles right from the start,
Absolutely.
almost calling it quits.
Yeah, their materials talk about some real struggles in their early days in Jamaica,
Wow.
which, I think makes you realize that even movements that experience explosive growth later on
Right.
often have to go through a period of testing and refinement first.
Yeah.
It reminds me of the saying, you have to go through the fire to become strong.
It does feel like a classic underdog story.
Yeah.
And speaking of surprising turns,
Mhm.
they had this moment that totally changed their trajectory.
Oh,
Apparently, they got this unexpected call
okay.
from a pastor in Uganda.
Okay.
And the pastor's bishop had passed away during the COVID-19 pandemic,
Wait.
leaving the community without leadership.
Wow.
And they were desperate for guidance.
It's amazing how one phone call can have such a ripple effect, isn't it?
Yeah.
And what's really touching is that the pastor's wife had been praying for Prophet Edwards
Oh, wow.
when he was going through his own health challenges.
That's amazing.
So it creates this beautiful sense of interconnectedness and shared faith across continents.
It's like a real-life example of how prayer and faith can transcend borders.
Exactly.
This call seems to have revitalized the ministry. It gave them this renewed sense of purpose, and things really took off from there.
That's great. It really seems like that call opened up a whole new chapter for them.
Yeah.
Within 2 years, they'd established 6 churches
Really?
across Kenya and Uganda.
Wow.
That's incredible growth.
Yeah, that's impressive.
And then they've also got this independent network of churches in India,
Mm-hmm.
and they're looking at even more partnerships worldwide.
So their reach is really expanding rapidly.
Yeah.
What exactly are they offering
Mhm.
that's drawing people in?
Well, their materials highlight this motto, loving, caring, and sharing.
Okay.
They talk a lot about building impactful churches, offering training in prophetic ministry,
Right.
and holding international conventions and conferences.
So if you dig a little deeper
Yeah,
into their long-term vision,
exactly.
it seems like they're aiming to go even further.
They are.
They're looking at supporting missions,
Mm-hmm.
setting up Bible schools,
Mm-hmm.
mentoring future leaders, and even getting involved in community development and education sponsorship.
It's almost like they're aiming to become like this holistic resource
Right.
for spiritual and social support.
That's quite an ambitious vision.
It is.
It's interesting that they're not just focusing on the spiritual side of things,
Yeah.
but also trying to make a tangible difference
Yeah.
in people's lives on a practical level.
I think it suggests that they recognize the interconnectedness
Yeah,
of spiritual and material needs.
right.
I think a lot of faith movements are starting to emphasize this holistic approach,
Mm-hmm.
recognizing that true transformation
Yeah.
involves addressing both the spiritual and physical well-being of individuals and communities.
But let's not forget their emphasis on the prophetic,
Right.
which seems to be at the core of their identity.
It
They
is.
talk about empowering individuals to tap into spiritual gifts,
Uh-huh.
even using the Uganda phone call as an example of divine intervention.
Yeah, that's a really interesting aspect.
It is.
They weave these personal anecdotes and stories of spiritual experiences
Yeah.
throughout their materials.
Mm.
And it's clearly a powerful way to connect with people.
Right.
Like, I mean, humans are naturally drawn to stories.
Yeah.
They make abstract concepts more relatable,
Yeah.
more emotionally engaging.
And they're not afraid to use modern technology either.
Nope.
They're embracing media and film to spread their message.
It's a smart move
Yeah.
in today's digital world.
It shows they're adapting to the times
Totally.
and finding creative ways to connect with people
Yeah.
who might not be reached through traditional methods.
Exactly.
So they're blending ancient beliefs with contemporary communication strategies.
They are.
So we've got this mix of deep-rooted beliefs,
Uh-huh.
a focus on personal spiritual experience,
Right.
ambitious goals for community impact,
Yeah.
and savvy use of media.
It's a lot.
What do you think it all means?
Not-
What are the key takeaways here?
I think it tells me that the landscape of faith is evolving.
Yeah.
We're seeing organizations like No Limits, No Boundaries emerging, blending these traditional beliefs with modern approaches.
Right.
They're not shying away from technology
No.
or social outreach or personal experience.
And their rapid international growth suggests that
Yeah.
they're definitely tapping into something that resonates with people.
Absolutely.
But is there a potential downside to this emphasis on personal experience and signs following?
That's a good question.
Could it be misinterpreted or even manipulated?
That's a great question, and it's an important one to consider.
Yeah.
Anytime a movement places a strong emphasis on subjective experiences,
Right.
there's always a potential for things to be taken out of context or even abused.
So for you, the listener,
Yeah.
this raises an important point. It's crucial to approach any religious or spiritual group with a discerning mind,
Yeah,
critically evaluating their claims and practices.
exactly. Blind faith can be risky.
Yeah.
It's important to ask questions,
Yeah.
seek understanding, and not be afraid to challenge anything that seems questionable.
This deep dive is really highlighting the dynamic nature of faith.
It is.
In the 21st century,
Definitely.
we're seeing new expressions of spirituality pop up all the time.
Yeah.
And No Limits, No Boundaries is a fascinating example of that. It's like we're watching a new chapter unfold in the story of faith.
Yeah.
This small ministry, after facing those early setbacks, has blossomed into this global movement.
It's pretty amazing.
It makes you wonder what's driving this phenomenon. Why are we seeing this surge
Yeah.
in organizations like No Limits, No Boundaries,
Right.
especially with their emphasis on the prophetic and signs following?
Well, I think it speaks to a deeper human longing
Okay.
for connection with the divine.
Uh-huh.
I mean, throughout history, across cultures,
Right.
people have sought tangible experiences
Mhm.
of the supernatural,
Yeah.
of something beyond the everyday world.
Right.
These signs following, as they're called,
Yeah.
offer that sense of immediacy, of God intervening in a visible, undeniable way.
It's a powerful draw for many.
It is.
It's almost like people are yearning for something more,
Yeah.
something beyond the material world. And these types of ministries offer a path to that experience.
Absolutely. And it's not just about personal experience either.
Right.
No Limits, No Boundaries also talks about the impact of their prophetic teachings
Okay.
on community transformation,
Okay.
like solving social problems, bringing about healing.
So they're connecting the spiritual to the practical, which
Exactly.
I think is a key part of their appeal.
I think so too.
So for you listening,
Yeah.
what can we learn from all of this?
That's the big question.
What does the story of No Limits, No Boundaries tell us
Right.
about the changing landscape of faith
Mhm.
in the 21st century?
Well, for one, it reminds us that the search for meaning and purpose
Yeah.
is a universal human experience.
Right.
Whether we find it within traditional religious frameworks,
Mhm.
explore alternative spiritual paths,
Right.
or create our own unique sense of the sacred.
Yeah.
We're all seeking something to believe in,
Right.
something to connect us to something larger than ourselves.
It also highlights the fact that faith isn't static.
It isn't.
It's constantly evolving,
right.
adapting to new contexts and cultures.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And No Limits, No Boundaries
Mhm.
is a prime example of this.
Yeah.
Blending those ancient beliefs
Right.
with modern approaches
Yeah.
to meet the needs of a changing world.
And finally, it underscores the importance
Yeah.
of critical thinking and discernment,
Uh-huh.
especially when engaging with any belief system or spiritual practice,
Absolutely.
it's crucial to question,
Right.
to seek understanding,
Yeah.
and to be aware of potential pitfalls.
Exactly. Blind faith can be dangerous.
This deep dive has given us a lot to ponder.
I think so.
The rise of this ministry,
Mm-hmm.
their unique blend of traditional and modern elements,
Right.
and their ambition for global impact,
It's a lot.
it all points to a fascinating shift in how we experience and express faith.
Absolutely. And as we continue to observe these trends,
Yeah.
it's important to approach them with open minds,
Right.
critical thinking,
Yeah.
and a willingness to engage
Mhm.
in thoughtful dialogue
Right.
about the role of spirituality
Okay.
in shaping our world.
So as you go about your day, we leave you with this.
Okay.
What role does faith play in your own life? And how do you see the evolving landscape of spirituality impacting our world
Yeah,
in the years to come? It's something to reflect on.
it is.
As we wrap up our deep dive into the world of No Limits, No Boundaries, Ministries International.
It's been fascinating.
Thanks for joining us.